Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sober Yoga Girl. I am very excited to have Ellen sitting with me here today. And Ellen is the creator of Sobriety Sisterhood in France. And she is a sobriety and wellness coach. And we've actually been connected on Instagram for a long time. Ellen's come to some of my yoga workshops, yoga classes, and we've been friends for a while, but I don't think I've ever actually sat down with you and sort of heard your sober story. So I'm really, really excited for this opportunity to talk to you today. So welcome, Ellen. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm good. Thank you. I'm excited too. It's so nice to be here.
It's nice to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you are in the world?
Okay. So I'm English originally, but I've been in France since 2007. So it's 15 years, which has gotten in a heartbeat.
Wow.
I am married with 3 children who were all born in France. I grew up in the UK, but I knew very, very early on I didn't want to stay in the UK. In fact, I always wanted to go to Canada, where you're from. But we ended up in France. Still kind of dream of moving to Canada, but love France as well. Yeah, I was 28 when we moved here, which is quite unusual for expats because lots of people are retired who move over here. So it's been quite a journey, but we've just moved house and I do love it here. But it's a strange place to be sober. I hate the word sober, but to be alcohol free is really strange because in France, alcohol is their heritage. You know, wine is their heritage. So it's quite unusual to be alcohol free here.
Yeah. And I love seeing your house renovations, by the way. I was thinking today about how, there's some people who keep all of their content just sobriety focused. And then there's some people that show other parts of their life. And I was thinking a little bit like, when I was making my TikTok videos, I was like, oh, I wonder if my followers are like bored of this because it's just like me dancing. And then I was thinking like, it's actually really nice. Like, for you, I post these home renovations and I love seeing this little glimpse into like your life other than sobriety. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I was really, when I started my Instagram account, it was kind of like an accountability for me. I was about a year sober and it felt really strange of coming out to the rest of the world of being sober,
right?
Because I was known as a big drinker, but it was just who I was. I loved it. I didn't have a problem with alcohol as such. I just loved drinking. My family are big drinkers. It was something that I'd always done. And I was really kind of driven with it of being I'm the best drinker and I can drink everyone under the table. So when I started my Instagram account, I was very nervous about it and I didn't know which direction to take it either. But I like putting bits and pieces of real life and as well, it's a bit of a shit show. But I like the fact that people can kind of relate and say, well, you can still be alcohol free. You can still deal with the renovations. My husband's back in hospital. He's got mental health problems. It's real life.
I'm so sorry.
But you can still, there's still so much like to be grateful for. And we still have fun and we still, enjoy all the things there are to be grateful for.
Yeah. Wow. That must be so hard.
It is, but God, there's strength in sobriety. I think I am someone different to who I was 10, 15 years ago. It is difficult, but I'm so much more self-aware of like, okay, what do I need? What do I need to do to look after myself and to be strong so that I can look after everybody else? And people have stuff going on. It's real life. Like it's not Instagram life. Life is not perfect. But I can do it all alcohol free. And I like sharing that with people. I think it's much more relatable. I'm drawn to people on Instagram that share their real life rather than like this perfect life. It's something that I can relate to. I'm a mum of 3. The house is messy. The renovations are kind of stop-start, but yeah, it's real life.
Yeah. And it's so admirable when people can be like authentically themselves.
Yeah. And something that I've learned in sobriety, I'm sure you've done this as well. I kind of looking back at my drinking career as such, I was always searching to fit in with people and please other people and be that person that was the life and soul of the party. They used to call me party girl. And now I'm just feel so much more comfortable in my own skin and showing my authentic self. I still don't quite know what that means. I'm searching for who the authentic self is, but I know that I'm much more comfortable in my own skin for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So tell me a bit about, you mentioned like you're much stronger than you were 10, 15 years ago. What were you like 10, 15 years ago? Like, tell us about your journey and what your drinking days were like.
Oh, my drinking days started so early. Both my parents, they were both in the army, but came out before I was born. But I grew up with alcohol around me just all the time. And from very, very young, like age 4 or 5, I was having watered down versions of what my parents drank. And it was all good fun, you know. I got 2 brothers who are 8 and 9 years older than me. So I saw them going into their drinking career, and I was always keeping up with the lads. And I went to college, actually, and I was the only girl in college. I went and did an engineering course, and I was the only girl in the whole engineering block. And so it was a big thing of like keeping up with the men all the time in everything that I did. And I always say this, I think I've got quite a masculine energy, that I'm driven and I'm focused and quite kind of ego driven in everything that I do. I can be the best in everything. I'm very competitive. And that came down to drinking as well. Yeah, I loved drinking, and I was a good drunk person. You know, I was always happy. I was never aggressive, but I was always unhappy in myself. I went into fitness coaching when I was about 19. I'd always struggled with my weight from about 13, always felt very unhappy in myself. And before we moved to France, I was managing 2 gyms. I was big into the fitness kind of industry, had started to explore the yoga, had started to do my teaching course. But yeah, still just so uncomfortable with how I was. I really hated how I looked. Looking back, I have no photos of me, really. I have no photos of me when I was pregnant, no photos of me after I had the babies. I just hated that whole thing. And I found the Whole30, Melissa Urban's Whole30, and I'd done lots of reading. My husband's got an autoimmune disease, and so I'd done a lot of reading around the autoimmune paleo diet, which of course cuts out alcohol. And I had experimented with that and done it for weight loss, and I wanted to feel better about myself. And I would do periods of alcohol free, and then I would always go back to it, because as far as I was concerned, I never had a problem. Although that's not true. When I was about 20, I said to my husband, I think I've got a problem with alcohol. And he laughed and said, don't be so silly. You're not hiding your drinking. You're not drinking during the days. And I was like, no, but it has this control over me that I hate. And I would be drinking every night, and I hated it. I was just stuck in this cycle of, it was 3 bottles for £10 in England. And we would get 3 bottles nearly every night and drink it.
Wow.
And it never occurred to me that was really the root cause of why I was holding too much weight, why I looked bloated, why I was tired, why I couldn't work out consistently, why my eating was inconsistent. And then when I started to kind of take a break from alcohol, it just became clearer and clearer, all the benefits of sobriety. I was sleeping better, I was more motivated, I was more focused. And it took me a good 5 years to suddenly go, hang on a minute, if I want to treat myself, it's to completely stop. And that's what I did. I was setting out for 30 days and I was going, I'll treat myself at the end of it. And I was like, that's not a treat. It's not a way to treat myself. I'm so conscious of everything that I eat and exercise and doing yoga and being mindful. And yet I'm quite happy to poison myself every night. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore. And when I rationalized it like that, I was just like, no, I'm going to stop and see where this takes me. And it completely changed my life.
Yeah. And so did you quit fully on your own, or did you have any supports in the early days?
No, quit completely on my own.
Wow.
I just was like, right, I'm going to see where this takes me. I was 38. I'd been to the doctor. I had blood pressure problems. She wanted to put me on medication. Wow. I'm qualified in all of this. I've done all the sports science and psychology. I knew what my problem was. I knew that I needed to change my lifestyle. I didn't want to go onto medication. My father had died from heart disease when I was 19. My auntie had, my grandmother had, and I knew the path that it was going to take me down. And I was like, no, something's got to change, and that change has got to come within. And I'd done that years ago with smoking as well. I was just, when I rationalized it to myself, what I was doing, it just didn't make sense to continue doing it. And so I carried on. I got to about 5 months alcohol free. And actually I reconnected with my friend, Simon Chappell, who has Be Sober. And he had kind of come out as alcohol free. And I was like, hey, Simon, so am I. And I've known him for like 20 years. He used to come into the gym that I ran.
Wow.
And he was like, oh, that's amazing. Join my Facebook group. And I didn't know that there was a whole sober community. And I didn't know what a sober coach was. I didn't, it just was all alien to me. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. I want other people to feel how I feel about myself. And I reconnected with Simon and found this whole community.
Amazing. And now Simon is the co-host of your podcast, right? You guys host a podcast together. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. It is. It's nice. We've got history together, and I went to his wedding when I saw he always says he was an enthusiastic drinker, and he was for sure. And see him become so much more self-aware and start to do the work. It is great. And how great he is with his son and his wife, how their relationships changed. It's just so inspiring. And the group that he has is brilliant, connecting with people on there.
That's so amazing. So you joined that community, and then how long ago was that? How many years have you been sober now?
Just over 3 years. So I joined his community, and then he said to me, like, oh, you should get an Instagram profile. I knew that I wanted to stay alcohol free, and I knew that I wanted to continue being consistent with my workout and my yoga. And I knew I needed an accountability. So for me, the Instagram kind of okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I want to be a coach, and I want to stay accountable to someone, because although I know I love this lifestyle, I know if I don't keep on connecting with people who are thriving in it, then there's a chance I'll go back to my old lifestyle. And I don't want that.
Right.
You've said that recently in a post about not connecting with the sober community and how you kind of feel yourself, it could be okay. And that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I actually remember in October, I remember putting it out there saying, I'm stepping aside from sober coaching. This person is taking it over. I'm now doing business work. And I had done a bunch of podcast episodes before I left Abu Dhabi. And so I was like, I wasn't intentionally stepping away from sobriety. And then I realized I'm here alone, kind of navigating a new life here. And this is probably one of the biggest times that people get back into drinking. And actually one of my friends who I had as a guest on the show, she went through something similar. She just repatriated back to the UK from Abu Dhabi and started drinking again. And it really shows how you need your sober community more than ever. And you can't, that's why they keep saying in AA, keep coming back and, provide service to others just to stay connected, because otherwise you forget what it was like.
You do. I think the first year you're there's all these changes and you're like, oh, this is amazing. This is so fantastic. Why didn't you want to preach to everyone? I was, the joke about how do you know if someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. I was the same with sobriety. I was like, oh, this is the future. But that kind of shine on it starts to disappear slightly, because you're just okay, so this is the new me. I am more focused. I've kind of lost a bit of weight. I look different. I feel different. But you forget that that's all down to giving up alcohol.
Yes.
And my favorite saying is, no matter how far down the road you are, you're only ever the same distance from the ditch. Whilst I wasn't rock bottom, or what people would consider rock bottom, that still was my rock bottom. I don't want to go back to that person. I want to stay focused and on this road.
I just got shivers. No matter how far down the road you are, you're always the same distance from the ditch. Wow. I'm going to remember that. That is really, it's so true.
Every time I have a group, I just go back to that quote. I heard it on the Huberman Lab, and he was talking about somebody who'd been in recovery for, I think, 40 years. And that was what he'd said to him. And he's like, yeah, that is so true.
It's so true, because you just have one drink and you're like, it's just one, and then it's just two, and then it's just three. And then all of a sudden you're just exactly where you came from.
You're like, I've given up for 3 years. I can do it. I can just have one drink and I can give up for 3 years again. But I know my personality. I know that I am all or nothing. And whilst it might take me a month or 12 months to go back to that who I was, it would start. So it's much easier just not have that first drink.
It's so true. Yeah. So much easier to just be fully sober.
Yeah. I think once alcohol's off the table, it's just much easier, much clearer in your head. It's a lighter place to be.
So tell me about the work that you do now in the sober world. I know Ellen and I were we're meant to be collaborating on a Bali retreat that has been postponed. until the world
hopefully
reopens.
Hopefully until November, and hopefully we'll still be doing that. The world is a funny place at the moment. So in the future, definitely there's going to be retreats that hopefully Bali, France, the UK, and maybe Canada.
Amazing.
Because I really kind of manifested this. I want to be able to work online. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to keep connected with people. So the retreats for me really hits the spot with all of those. I do the sobriety coaching. I coach my free group on a Saturday, which it's like just this. It's a conversation. People seem a little kind of scared about or not sure what to expect. And it is literally a check-in with everybody, sharing their struggles, their successes, things that they're proud of, things that they're grateful for, and getting inspiration from others that are on the same journey. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're like on day 1 for the 20th time or you're 3 years sober, you have something to share and to motivate and inspire other people with. So I love that community. I do some work for Simon, and I think we'll be doing quite a bit more work together in the future as well, hopefully. And the podcast. So I love it. I get a real buzz. It was very outside my comfort zone. Before I gave up alcohol, I had never, ever spoken in front of people. Anytime in school or in college, I would call in sick because it would just cause me so much anxiety to put myself out there, to be judged and to be criticised. And now I thrive on it. I thrive on wanting people to feel the same way that I do. So it's great to kind of facilitate that.
That's so incredible. And what a transition.
Yeah, it really is.
Would you attribute that transition to like what part of the alcohol-free journey do you think gave you that confidence or that shift?
I think that alcohol has this hold over all of us and we don't realize it. And it is so difficult to give up. And even when people say, I don't have a problem with alcohol, they don't think of themselves as an alcoholic. I certainly didn't, but it has a hold over you. And when you break free from it and you do something that not many other people do, and you realize that you can do that and that you're strong, and you can take control, it like boosted my confidence. I'm like, I'm strong. I can do anything. I can take on the world now if I want to. And I do. My confidence in everything. I would never, ever be the one to want to try a sport where I was like paddleboarding. I went to Canada and my cousin's girlfriend said, they do paddleboarding. We were in Victoria and I was like, I can't, I don't want to be out there and like make a fool of myself. The same with indoor climbing. I wanted to try it. I just didn't want to be that center of attention. And now I'm like, I took my son to BMX club the other day and he's 8. And I'm like, Oliver, let me have a go. He's like, Mom, no. I'm like, Oliver, let me have a go. And he's like, oh, go on then. And that's the person I want to be, is having fun and making the most out of life and doing that without alcohol. It's just boosted my confidence no end.
That's so incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I totally agree that being alcohol free has boosted my confidence too in just taking risks that I never would, like even being on video, even, recording a podcast. Like so many of these things are so beyond what would be my comfort zone. Yeah,
I think it changes who you are. And it also, we kind of talked a little bit about this before we started recording. You learn to fail well.
Yes.
That's what I've learned, is that failure is not complete. Failure just means that you need to find another way to do something. Before, I was so like, I'm going to get judged if I fail. I'm going to judge myself if I fail. Yeah. I don't want to fail. That felt such an uncomfortable place for me to be. Now I'm like, okay, if I'm not failing, then I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not outside my comfort zone enough. And I've realized that I like being outside my comfort zone. That's actually what inspires me and what gives me a buzz. Alcohol never brought any of that. It seemed really good fun, but it wasn't. All the bad shit that came along with it, that wasn't fun. This is fun, like being focused on my business. And I was searching for this the whole time for the last 20 years. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I found it now. Now I know it's good to fail. It's good to fall and pick yourself back up and find another way.
So true. And I have this quote, I saw it somewhere, like rejection is redirection, and getting
Absolutely.
rejections and having failures or coming across obstacles just prompts us to pivot in a new way, right? And explore a new way of doing things. So
yeah. And the yoga, that's why, I've reconnected. I went 13 years with I didn't get my mat out once in 13 years.
Wow.
And then I'm back to yoga and back to like, okay, you can fall and you can pick yourself back up. And the climbing for me is a huge, huge thing. So many lessons with that of when I got to the top of the wall, like I did the easiest climb the first time we went there, but I felt like I was Tommy Coolbell. I've reached the top of the wall and I can take on the world. But learning to put my trust in somebody else to have my back, that's another, like I said, I'm very masculine in that kind of energy that I want to take control in every situation.
Yeah.
And in climbing, you have to have faith in somebody else to have your back. Learning that, okay, this route is difficult, but you might fail on it 20 times, but you will find a different way to do it and you'll get to the top. And that's the fun of it, pushing yourself outside the comfort zone. If you can do it first time, it's not difficult enough. And where's the kind of joy in that if you can just do everything first time?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So I have one more question for you, Ellen. I'm just wondering if you had any wisdom or any advice to someone who is beginning an alcohol-free journey, what would you say?
I have a big thing at the moment. I watch Mel Robbins saying about objectivity in manifestation. And I really, really feel this to my core because I speak to so many people about it. It's find somebody that's thriving in their sobriety and connect with them. Not necessarily with people who are trying to give up at the same time as you, but people that are killing it in their sobriety. People like you that like it's changed their lives and they are loving their sobriety. Ask them questions. How did they do it? Because we've all been there. We've all had like, oh, I slipped, I went back. It's normal. Or this is too difficult. Is this really what I want? But people who are so much further down the road of it is worth it. I promise you. Yes, I've been there. I've done it. It's difficult, but just keep on going. It's keep connecting with people who are thriving in that area that you want to be in.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a great piece of advice. I don't think anyone suggested that so far, but you're totally right. And someone actually recently commented this about my community because we have a new group that just started Dry January and they're all in the early stages. There's 11 of them. But then we also have so many people in the community that are like, 3 years into sobriety, 2 years. And they were saying it's really amazing that we have our little nest of us. And then we have everyone on the outside that's a little bit further along. And you're right. It's really helpful to be able to have people to look to who kind of walk the path before you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a danger when you're only connected with people who are on the same journey. You enable each other to a certain extent. It's very much like a diet of like, I messed up. Oh, I messed up too. Don't worry. It's okay. Whereas looking to somebody like that's great support to have, but to have mentors that are that much further along is really important as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And I'm super, super excited for us. We're going to finally do our retreat someday. It is going to happen. So those of you that are listening, if you want to come with me and Ellen to Bali, right now it is tentative for November and it's going to be amazing. So reach out if you're interested. And yeah.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.